Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Wednesday. It's August 7th, 2024. Hope you're doing amazing. Soaking in all of this Lionsgate energy, which is just around the bend tomorrow. Got your affirmations, your intentions all in alignment. Focusing your energy to manifest the absolute best that you can possibly perceive. And I pray in agreement for the highest frequency of manifestations for miracles, as a matter of fact, to transpire on account of your faith and your belief and knowing that you are worthy to receive as the divine ordains it to be so. So, yeah. To receive all that the divine ordains to be so, as a matter of fact. So I truly do touch and agree with you energetically on all of your intentions and affirmations and prayers, proclamations, declarations, decrees. In the highest frequency for the greatest good of all, it is so and so it is. Let's see what we got today. The Page of Swords, information, or someone looking to understand or be enlightened. Somebody watching, observing someone at peace, at rest. There feels like a perplexity, though, in this Page of Swords to me with the Justice card. Maybe someone not being able to really understand how someone could, it's like, how could you rest at a time like this? And funny enough, I just had read Matthew chapter 8, because a scripture, well, a part of that scripture, I looked up and I realized that was the chapter. So I just read the whole chapter. And part of that chapter was when Jesus was traveling with the disciples and they ran into like that big storm, and Jesus was like sleeping. Sleeping like in the boat or under, I don't know. I think it said like under the boat, so I don't know what type of boat that was back then. But Jesus was like sleeping, and the disciples, of course, were all, up in arms and afraid. And they went and woke him up pretty much like, how could you be sleeping? Don't you see the storm that we're in? And he's like, what? This? Oh, hold on. I was about to say something real blasphemous. Hold my beer. Hold my holy water, says Jesus. And then he just goes to the boat, to the edge of the boat, and says, peace be still. And the waters cease. The raging waters cease and calm. So I can imagine there. Well, actually, it actually quotes their perplexity, like, what manner of man is this that even the winds and the waves obey his command, something to that effect, right? And so I'm getting that energy here for some reason, where it's like, this is an observation outside of someone, but they're watching someone be at peace, be at rest, somehow be in acceptance, at a resolve, not in a frenzy at all, even though they may have reason to be, as the winds and the waves project in the story in the Bible. There was hella storms going on today. It was raining all day long. As a matter of fact, it cooled down so bad that I actually had to close the window because I was a little cold. So things could be changing rapidly, and some are frantic in the velocity of those winds of change, and some are just resting and trusting, staying in prayer and faith and meditation, resting on the laurels of what they know to be true. This is the Ace of Swords down here, and really kind of hanging their cares up on the wall. That's the Three of Swords there, which could represent fear, could represent trauma. It could even represent previous troubles or challenges, that more or less one has that speaks to how one has ultimately cultivated this spirit of peace, because you've gone through multiple storms already, or you, whomever has gone through multiple storms, to know where your security lies, to know that there's no cause for alarm, really and truly, that everything is in the hands of the divine, and everything, even the storms, are working for your favor. Case in point with the Justice card here, yep, and here's the Tower card, yep, because this is the change that is perhaps the cause. What I'm getting here, it could be the storm itself could actually be the cause for the effect of justice, for balance, for fairness, for peace, or perhaps the past storms are what that have been incurred, and the struggle, somebody's not new to this, they true to this. You know how to weather a storm, you know how to be amenable to change, you know how to trust the process, you know how to ground yourself in what you know. Your faith has been fortified by your experiences, so that you know that even when it could be an experience that you didn't necessarily plan for, there's always preparation and faith. The faith is the preparation, like unyielding faith is the preparation here. And always believing that everything's always working out in your favor. That's the justice of your life. That if it's happening, it must need to happen, or it's teaching you something, or it's leading you somewhere, or it's opening the door, it's closing the door, clearing a foundation for something more fortifying. It's showing you a different way, a different path, enlightening you to a fresh perspective. Creating balance where there may have been imbalance, maybe lightening your load where you may have been working too hard with the Ten of Wands, or stressing and striving too much. This is the total opposite of the Four of Swords. So this definitely gives light to the idea that there is amazement and bewilderment here from the outside looking in, because someone that may be at the end of a cycle, closing up, a cycle of upheaval, of stress, of struggle, perhaps, shouldn't be so at ease at the Four of Swords. The peace that passes all understanding is what someone may be embodying now. And that is the saving grace, because anything else would actually put, to resort to the response and reaction that this could provoke would ultimately do the opposite of ending that cycle. Would probably work to begin a fresh one, for you to kind of flail against the waters and try to fight the resistance of the current, to try to hold up, try to like put out these burning flames with a water hose when you really just need to get out of the building, when it's time to go, pretty much. To try to build up a house on rubble, like that would ultimately put you in the beginning of a new struggle. And this time particularly is the opposite energy of that portal, where you're supposed to be releasing as much of what you've already overcome as possible, getting ready to start a new cycle to project something productive and prosperous, for it, like make a new covenant, so to speak, with yourself, even to allow anything that has been disruptive, destroyed, disturbed, or that is a disturbance, to fizzle out, to fade to the background. Certainly not to try to carry it over, either to continue to carry this load when you're supposed to drop it at the 10, or to start over with some new bundle of sticks. Like it's time to drop the burdens, the ones that we willingly carry, as this card projects, and the ones that have been projected onto us to carry for others, to carry because society says so, to carry familially, agreements and contracts that have been long since breached in the spirit, that you're still holding on to those terms of agreement. And that could look like continuing, carrying on instead of resting and rejuvenating from cycles and circumstances that you've healed from. That would be allowing yourself to be re-inflicted or reinfected, to be triggered again, to now carry that energy through this portal and on to whatever, beyond the threshold of this moment. And not to say the eighth is the end all be all, but it's just the energy, the spirit of this time. It's like, it's no better time to be intentional. If you haven't been all year long, which I'm sure you have, but certainly why not harness a frequency that supports that? Certainly not to act against it, To do nothing, that's another thing, because one way or another, you're going to be shuffled along. It's just a matter of what you're taking with you or not. But to be intentional for your own good, your greatest good at that, it's like, why would you miss out on that moment if you don't have to? So it's given that somebody's already a bit of, this could be in the highest vibration, you could be an inspiration to people, certainly a marvel as to how you're able to maintain a level head, a cool head and a level mind amidst great tragedy and struggle and challenge and complicated affairs, perhaps, and that could go on a very personal scale to just the general state of affairs in the world right now. Some people don't understand how others can be calm and hopeful, let alone faithful for anything positive when we're bombarded with so much negative. It seems like the world is falling. If you look in the wrong places, well, if you look anywhere just about, you'll catch some glimpse of how it feels like, the pillars of society are crumbling down. And maybe they are, but that's still, when we consider the tower, it's still a matter of clearing space for something fortifying to be reestablished. And some have a hard time having faith in that projection, of which there is no guarantee what that gets to look like. And some have nothing but faith for it, because you feel, you resort to the idea that that's a better use of your energy and time, a better investment of your energetic contribution to creation than to be worried, than to be afraid, than to be faithless and fearful. You have better chances doing the opposite and just see what happens than doing what would be more or less like the natural response or the reasonable response, I would say. All right, so let's see what else we got here. So that's the 10 of Wands. Something's coming to an end. Some struggle's coming to an end. If you allow yourself to let it end with you where you are, even right now in this moment, I feel like for the most part, well, we'll see, but I feel like this message is dedicated to someone that's already there, that's focused on that intention. So I guess this would just be encouragement to stay in that safe space, in that peaceful space. Yeah, here's the 6 of Wands. Victory despite, what's that piece of hair? My hair. Victory despite what the projections or prognosis may be. So and again, this also speaks to being a bit of a spectacle. So you could be someone that is in the public eye, whether it be social media, whether it be maybe even a celebrity, like, really, really public, or a leader of some sort, a community leader. Or you just could be someone that is highly respected and observed amongst your peers, in a very profound way that, again, is like you're being established to be a sign and a wonder, pretty much, of what the result of faith looks like, walks like, talks like, breathes like, in the flesh, even when it seems all is lost. Yeah. So it's like where people have, this could even be past of people observing you coming through a great struggle, and now those same eyes are about to witness your victory on account of your devotion. In the 6 of Wands. That's powerful. Wow, with the Chariot. That's moving onward and forward. So whatever it is you've overcome, you're moving past it and even beyond it. Now, this is double victory. Wow, with the Chariot. You've overcome a great feat. No wonder people, it's like it's the energy of like, you don't you don't look like what you've been through. You know, like you should look at this. It's like somebody surviving an explosion and you come out with, you know, like unscathed, maybe a scratch or two here or there, you know, but for the most part, like you're all, your body's intact, your limbs intact, you're, you know, not a blemish, not a burn. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal perception, you know, or a phenomenal sight to behold, I would say, where again it's like you would be exalted on account of the perception of what others have seen, have witnessed with their own eyes as to what you went through, what you overcame, what you were resilient on account of or despite, and how honorable you have emerged. You know, like this is also having a great deal of integrity intact still, and even your faith still intact, not to be jaded by your unfavorable experiences, you know, not to, and also I would say not to be prideful either, not to be, well, pride in a good sense, but not to be arrogant, I would say, you know, just like a balanced expression of honor here as a decorated soldier of sorts. Like you've earned the right to be proud of your accomplishments from all that you've survived, but you don't let it go to your head. You haven't let it go to your head, which is why there's even more of a reverence for your achievement that is justified, you know, like literally justified for you to receive as much reward and recognition as you do, simply because of what you've done and who you've been to do what you do, and because you haven't let either case define you, the misfortune or the favor. You just being you, you know. That's interesting. And almost like, all right, what's next? You know what I mean? Like while other people might be standing around in amazement, like, wow, you did that, you came out of that. It's like, yeah, high priestess exaltation here, but you're so devoted and committed. And this is also, I would say, like doubling down on that humility and grace. It's like, it's of no consequence to you. It's you know, all praise to the Most High for what you've overcome. It's what establishes your devotion that much more. Because hell, if folks are astounded by what they witnessed, how astounded must you be to be, you know, the first person experience, you know, to experience it in the first person, you know, firsthand, I guess I should say. So it just strengthens your devotion, your commitment to the divine that much more. Like I said, you're like, all right, what's next? You know, like, okay, I know I've been set aside, you know, for a purpose. Maybe someone has even like had a near-death experience or something, you know, really life-threatening. Yeah, it could even be that. You know, something that, or even if it wasn't like a threat to your physical life, it could have been something so energetically challenging and emotionally draining, like something that should have taken you down, should have even made you waver in your faith, like give up on God altogether, give up on yourself, like be done with life, you know, justifiably. But the resilience is so righteous here. It's so righteous. Wow, because you were not afraid to, well, I can't even say you weren't afraid, because you may have been at moments, you know, but I get the sense that the faith to stay in devotion and in submission to your supreme self was greater than your fear of the unknown. You know, it was more of a detriment to you as to what you may not discover about the best of yourself than it was to stay on the surface and, you know, again, make that reasonable, natural human nature response to life, which ultimately would have you to kind of scurry or, you know, scrape to maintain and sustain what you know, what's comfortable, what you can identify that has immediate value or gratification that makes sense, you know, on sight, as opposed to going deeper. Not everybody's willing to go deep, to dive into their unfavorable circumstances. This is like doing the work type of thing, and really to excavate your part in all things, you know, to really consider your what you're accountable for, what you you know, what you, to even be accepting of your missteps, you know, and also with all of that, to celebrate yourself, first of all, for the commitment to self, to take this journey, to initiate this path, but also for all the best of you, of which you do encounter and you do discover when you take this journey, this dive, when you allow yourself to do that soul search, perhaps even in sacred solitude, I would say, away from the crowd, away from tradition, disconnected from the familiar, you know, like allowing yourself to release people, places, and things that weren't in alignment with this pathway. There's a squirrel on the wall. I wonder if you can hear that. It's so annoying. It's on the outside trying to get in, but it's so annoying. Oh my goodness. All right. So anyway, you were surrendered to that spirit guide that navigated you to enlightenment through your inner compass, and that's why you're here in this form, in this frequency today. I think I forgot to turn my timer on. I can't remember though. It's trying to fall down. Where is it? Fool card. Yeah, you weren't afraid to learn new things about yourself. Like I said, about your circumstances. Let's see, under the Justice card, what is that with the Fool and the Justice? To establish new, to establish a new creed or a new covenant with yourself, or perhaps a new one between you and the divine, which would be a stark difference from what you were used to. You know, like to almost like learn a new laws, you know, like, or maybe even to kind of break away from the confinement of the law, particularly maybe even spiritual law, in ways that, you know how like pretty much Jesus came to, he said that what did he say? I didn't come to basically to like to disregard the law, but he came to fulfill it, something along those lines, you know. And it was like the way in which the Israelites were following the law. It's like it was first of all, it was in a lot of ways it was barely attainable, but also was kind of robotic, you know, kind of like sterile in a way. It wasn't really like living the life. It was just kind of doing the life, if that makes sense. Because it was what was told, it was what was passed down, it was what was what's the word, like dictated, you know. And a lot, and this certainly doesn't have to be exclusive to religion or even spirituality, or maybe it absolutely is, you know, it could be, but to make it more general, it's like doing life a certain way for all of your life because it was what's been dictated, what's been expected, passed down to you, was kind of been set up for you to adhere to, only to find through that self-discovery, through that submission to a more supreme authority, that you learn that there's an even more fulfilling way to do just that, you know, to still be in, you know, in compliance, you know, to still even live a so-called righteous life that is not restrictive, you know, where you are just as submitted to the creed and covenant of your submitted to your convictions as you are satisfied by them. Like it's like a satisfied submission, not just living a life because somebody told you that's how you got to do it to get to heaven, or this is what you have to do to be a good person, or to be a good woman or a good man, or, you know, whatever, like whatever the guidelines are that were kind of like passed down to you blindly, I would say. It's like kind of really gauging the truth behind those guidelines for yourself, and maybe confirming them and affirming them to be true in your own way, but maybe also, like I said, like a reconditioning or a renegotiation of sorts as to what it is that you truly affirm to be relevant to your life. Because, you know, even Jesus broke rules, you know, in the stories in the Bible, like working on the Sabbath. Here he was just healing people, but that was supposed to be against the law. So it's like really establishing your own state of righteousness within a renewed covenant between yourself and Supreme, that not only, again, makes sense, but is also satisfying and successful, you know. And I would say even inspiring, because what that does is, again, if you're this spectacle as has already been established, then it does, you know, give others another perspective of what it looks like to be ... whatever that is. Whatever it is, it's astounding in the way that you exemplify it. And it opens the gateway, a portal even, so to speak, of possibility for others who may see you handle stress a certain way or adversity a certain way, and now know that there's an alternative for their reactions and responses. That may see someone living a spiritual life or even a religious life. Say you are in an Orthodox practice of religion, and how you exemplify that lifestyle is an inspiration for someone else that may have disqualified themselves. Like, "Nah, I'm too wild to be a Christian," or I'm too whatever, I'm not holy enough or good enough to go to church, or whatever it is, or I'm not enlightened enough to give prophetic messages, people could be excluding themselves on account of their indoctrinated identity of unworthiness, where here you come just kind of like breaking chains and breaking illusions on all of that, and just like not even really trying to, again, empowering people just by your sense of esteem and courage to do so in your own waking life. Like nothing, it don't even have to be nothing too fancy, unless in fact it is. But just because you decide to be in commitment to what you revere to be priority, important, sacred, supreme, righteous. It could even be just how you express your gifts and talents. You dedicating yourself to being a singer, not necessarily because you want to, rise to the top of any charts or even sell out arenas, but your passion and love and devotion to your craft and how you share it so freely inspires someone else that's like, well, maybe I should just do my dance. They may not even sing. Maybe I should share my art or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter who likes it and who doesn't, just as long as I do it. Like, just inspiring people to release the creativity within them, because that's what ultimately is going to shift. This is that releasing creativity on a supreme level by way of those passions that have been instilled in you from a very supernatural source. It's like, that's your reasonable service to expel it. Certainly not to bottle it up. Like, what's it going to do in there? You know what I mean? So, and again, it's also extremely gratifying and rewarding to do so as well, no matter, especially if you're in it just simply on the strength of the pure passion of it all, and not necessarily on account of the fact that you just want to make money from it, or you want to attract followers or clout or some type of prestige. That all of that could come along with it, and probably will, in a small scale or on a grand one. But the pureness of your passion makes all the difference, and that's the part of it that is empowering for you and also extremely inspiring for others. And I was going to say, that ultimately is what changes the trajectory of creation for more and more people to be operating in this function, boldly, without inhibition, without a second thought, without fear. Two of Swords here. Two of Swords. Let's see what's on the bottom. We blocking love? That's interesting. I'm a little stumped on what this means, to be honest with you. The Two of Swords and the King of Cups. So this is, it's kind of being at a crossroads. Maybe at a crossroads and the conflict, the inner conflict perhaps of whether you can trust yourself to lead in love, if I could read it that way, because the King of Cups is like proactive master, more or less, in love vibrations and emotional intelligence. Okay, whether you can trust your emotional intelligence. Okay, yes, you can. Absolutely. Especially if you've done, at this rate, you've done all the work, the purifying, the purging, the self-discovery, the paths to enlightenment, maybe the dark night of the soul. You've overcome great difficulty and trials and tribulations and have been resilient through it all. You've stayed in the upright, which the justice could also represent. I think I kind of said that already, like staying in a staying the righteous path, more or less, no matter what. Like, still, like I said, kind of staying in the confines, or being in submission to the law in a way that, again, like, you have no problem with. Like, it's your pleasure. Like, you don't want to go out and break the law necessarily. You know what I mean? There could be cause to do that in a revolutionary way, but even that would have to be righteously justified in order for you to do it truly. But generally speaking, like, you appreciate being in covenant and being submitted to it, whether that be in spirit or in flesh. So with the Two of Swords, yes, you have earned the right through all of that, even in this new beginning, to trust your emotional intuition. Your emotional intelligence, to trust what you feel, to know that you're grounded in what your senses are telling you. Because this is like feeling like, should I go this way? Should I go that way? Or do I move at all? Do it, like, sometimes it is a don't move at all, or there is an indifference that you may need to maintain, even from your emotional sensibilities, in the sense of being overtaken by them or provoked by them. So all of that still falls into the line of intelligence holistically, to know when to act and know when not to know when to make logical sense of what you feel, and when you just kind of like gotta allow yourself to tap in and let your emotions guide you, maybe even protect you sometimes. So there's something here about, being affirmed that you are equipped to trust yourself in all of those faculties in this season. You can rest assured in that regard. If that's something that you may actually be at a crossroads moment right now, given we are at a threshold moment right now where some part of you may even feel like, am I supposed to be doing something? Is there more I need to say? Have I done enough? Like, have I, like, you may feel that incitement to get active, and it could all be in your mind, and then of course a sensationalism in your body to make you feel like that there's no way that I could possibly, here you go questioning yourself at peace and rest. Like, should I really be this calm? Is this right? Like, you feel like you should be a little bit more amped up, a little bit more eager and anxious, like the disciples on the boat in the storm, when it's like, just the way will be clear soon enough, and you'll know exactly. Like, it might be a peace be still type of moment where that's all that you can do is rest and wait for the roads to be clear, for the way to be clear, for you to proceed. With the Fool card here, trust that though. Usually that nudge that is putting you, usually that nudge that is provoking you is I mean, not always, but what this Page of Cups energy is giving me here is like that very vulnerable, same as the Page of Swords, like vulnerable, what's the right word, like impressionable energy that, like I said, almost feels like, from, especially in comparison to the King of Cups, like you may not be doing something right. Like, am I doing it right? Am I doing intuition right? Am I doing emotional intelligence right? Am I feeling what I'm feeling? And it's like 9 times out of 10, you probably are, and you can rest on that. Usually when you get those jitters of anxiety, that's an adverse energy of either a projection from the outside or just your that those frequencies of these guys are representing what your natural human response should reasonably be if you left it up, to the outside world to dictate, where you should be scared, you should be nervous, you should be anxious, you should feel like you don't have the answers, or you don't know what to do, or you're afraid to trust your decisions, or astounded, like feeling incited to want to do something impulsive, or to do something out of character, or do something on account of fear, and that's usually a sign, a signal that you probably do need to just get still, get in prayer and meditation, so that you don't make an action or a decision that could derail your path, because like I said, a lot of times that's not the best of you, of what you're feeling, when it's in the spirit of anxiety or fear, or those denser energies. That's something trying to revert you to a really probably even ego that's activated to protect you, and maybe even project you to the past, but protect you from past experiences where you may have been more impressionable or more impactful, and may have even, incurred a great cost for it, but you've come a long ways from that. If there's something that's giving you that inkling in the spirit, or even in the mind, which these two represent, then it would be most productive to stop, get grounded, and consider the big picture, and really like centralize yourself back to what is true in this moment and what you actually can do about it. Because if there's no cause for reaction or response that you can really, settle on as productive and prosperous, then all you can do is accept and allow for divine time to play out as it's supposed to. And these could even be people on the outside provoking you, like, yeah, here's the 10 of Cups, like this is what you're on the way to. So like I said, this could be people on the outside that, as I said, are just, not even because they mean you any harm, but because that's their natural response or inclination. So it's like, how could you not be afraid? How could you not be sad? How could you not be sorry? How could you not be fearful or angry, or, insecure, or any of the, it's like the ways in which some others' egos may provoke them to react and respond usually doesn't have a place in your personal situation, even with the best of intentions, because everybody's having their own life experience. So if anything, this is probably well placed at the Two of Swords to kind of like guard your force field from projections, well-meaning or otherwise, that would diminish you to a time and space and a being of which you've grown a great deal from. This is like immature energy here. Maybe folks that aren't so experienced in faith, maybe that aren't as don't have as much of a facility in the function of emotional maintenance and mental stability, and no shade, you know what I mean? But like I said, everybody's having their own experience. And if people are looking at you in amazement, there's a reason for that. So just, I guess, be careful who you allow yourself to be influenced by in this time, people, places, and things. Yeah, and so in that case, to guard yourself with the Two of Swords, no matter who it is, would be sensible, you know, just to protect your own peace of mind that you've established at the Four of Swords. Because this is what you have to gain. This realization of happiness and peace and tranquility, that it's like somebody, you may already be intentional to manifest in your mind space amidst, you know, like bridges blowing up, buildings falling down, it's a tornado passing through, a hurricane on the way, you know, all types of crazy stuff happening around you, but somehow you're able to settle yourself in a space of peace and acceptance, like, I'm okay. And this is what you're, this is what you're focused on. You know, it's like the rainbow beyond the storm is what you have your eyes set on, not what's going on around you in the moment. The miracle, the promise, there it is, the covenant, the promise of this covenant that you already established. It's like the spirit in particular doesn't renege. It always comes through on its end of the bargain, as long as you do, you know? So that's why Jesus could be so calm, because he already knew, like, I'm on this boat and it ain't my time to go. So I don't know what y'all tripping on, but peace be still. Another one bites the dust. Okay. This came up in a bit of a struggle, but we're certainly going to take it up right. Because the only thing it was barely a struggle. It was literally like kind of on the side by the way it fell next to the table. But the only thing that could be struggling about that is you. Imagine this is on the other side of this wall of projection, still maintaining the faith to believe for all that you're calling in, for this miracle of abundance, provision, support, resources, security, something very stable, you know, whatever this pinnacle represents, which could be a lot of things. It could be a job. It could be an opportunity to advance your creativity, to advance whatever it is that you may already even be recognized for you to maybe take it to another level, you know, because you have the capital to do so. Or again, calling in that stability for that fresh foundation, that new foundation that you get to establish from what was already, you know, torn down or destroyed at this point. And releasing all that is how you make room for this pinnacle to pierce through. What's on the bottom here? Four of Wands. Yeah, it could be a new home. Again, this is an establishment after great upheaval. Like, this is something that it's a celebration also. A lot of celebratory, well, not a lot, but I mean, causes for celebration. Certainly here with the recognition, a new beginning is always cause for celebration, and definitely justice on the other end of despair. And the Ace of Pentacles, big money, you know, big opportunity. That's something to be celebrated, and it all culminates here in this new foundation, mind you, here of peace after the Tower, where, like I said, this is what's now built on fortified on a fortified foundation, not something that is faulty or that wasn't sturdy enough beyond the time that it was, because there could have been a time when the tower and the foundation it was built upon was good enough. It was functional, and it was what was needed perhaps in your moment of transition. Maybe you needed to be in a certain place and space as you were growing and gaining a new understanding about yourself. Maybe that supported you well in a different frequency, but now there's something new and fresh that ultimately needs a new wineskin. So this could literally be someone moving to a new home, a new place altogether. It could be an establishment of a new partnership. It could be the fresh establishment of a business that's just been an ideal up until this point. And now, like I said, you have the capital to crystallize it. And even more so, with all that you've learned in this process contributes more greatly to a firm foundation, something that has a greater promise of prosperity than it would have if you would have built it at this point. So that all of it is good. I'm gonna just go for the bottom. Okay, so we got hella of competition in one way, right? But this could also be this could actually be like business competition, because it's something that you've grown in such a way that now this inspiration has almost turned into imitation. I could read it that way, for sure. And that's what usually happens. I mean, they say, whether you take stock in this or not, some don't, but they say that imitation is the highest form of, okay, really? Now, this ain't been doing this all day, but of course, when I'm reading, they want to be acting like it's coming through the damn wall, which I know it can't, but the disturbance is enough at times. But, yeah, so what I was saying is, like, this could be the competition. They say, flattery is the highest form. The imitation is the highest form of flattery. So it literally could be that this inspiration has turned into now others more or less being inspired to emulate what you have, what you do, who you are, how you've done it. Not holistically, maybe some, but not holistically in a way where people just want to copycat or literally establish themselves as some opponent or enemy of yours. But I'm seeing it in a higher frequency right now that is more like people seeing, you may be establishing a sort of blueprint, or at least a nice guide, a point of reference for those that may not have thought it was possible, like I said before, in the way that they witness you do it or have it or be it, not necessarily in that order. And it's like, well, damn, if that's how it gets to be done, then let me get on the job. Let me try to catch up or match up, or if they can do it, I definitely can do it. And the Five of Wands really can almost be like friendly competition, casual competition, or even business competition. So like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to all be in chaos and confusion as the card sometimes does project on sight. You could actually definitely magnetize a little bit of that to you too, because not everybody's going to be happy for your accomplishments, for your success and your esteem. But in the highest frequency, you just really showing people how it can be done and how you can do it too. And I feel like that's a great honor. It's worth the other side of the game. They hate when you can have it this way, where people just are like, well, if in terms of competition, if I could just do it my way and be right up there where you at, or hell, you got a burger joint, maybe I got a chicken joint, or whatever the case is. It's like there's enough for everybody. We ain't even got to fight about it. But if this is what motivates you to do you, my pleasure, literally, like Chick-fil-A. So I'm going to keep that in the highest vibration because I like it there. And for the most part, this reading was much more high vibe than it was anything else. So, you know, you're doing great things. You're on the right track. You're in the right space. Trust what you feel, what you know, what you sense, what you do intellectualize, because you have all those senses online for you, especially as the high priestess. You have access to supreme intel, to, you know, clear cognizance of all the senses if you're open to it. So, and ultimately is leading down this path of the Ace of Pentacles and then that 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups, fulfillment as well, where whatever it is you're doing, you're on the path to profit and prosper of it, and more than materially, actually in spirit, to actually find happiness in who you are shaping out to be. Okay, so keep going through that portal, no matter how hot the energy gets through this Lion's Gate, you know, how tense it may feel in moments. You're good. You're protected. You're well guided, and you are in authority to see yourself through because of what you've already established of yourself to be so enlightened and so established in the faculties that would equip you to do so, and primarily in your own perfection of peace that you've cultivated for yourself in the worst of times. So certainly you can push yourself a little bit more, a little bit longer for the best of times on the horizon, prayerfully so for all, you know, in spirit and in truth, it is so, and so it is. So thanks for listening. I must have forgot to turn on my timer because it's not going off yet, and I know I ain't been that fast. But if this is a little bit longer than an hour, forgive me, because I wasn't really keeping track. But in any event, I pray that you enjoy the dawn of the Lion's Gate just around the corner, and I'll certainly talk to you tomorrow at some point in time. All right. Until then, as always, I leave you with peace.